Hello, I'm Chai Hafilenya. Welcome to Talk Thursday. Hunger and malnutrition are the world's greatest health risks, according to the World Food Program, or WFP. The two are even greater than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. In 2013, the Philippines ranked the 28th hungriest country in the world, with a global hunger index score of 13.2. While this is lower than 1990's 19.9 score, the hunger situation in the country is still categorized as serious. By the end of 2013, more Filipinos were still hungry. The Philippines is among the 38 countries that account for 90% of the global burden of malnutrition. While there have been attempts to improve the hunger situation through school feeding programs, for example, hunger still persists. In partnership with the Department of Social Welfare and Development and WFP, Rappler's #Hunger Project aims to stimulate awareness about hunger in the country. With us today is actress and model KC Concepcion. She will be talking to us about hunger and share her thoughts and ideas about what she has seen for herself. She will also share her ideas about what can be done to stop, if not alleviate, hunger. Good afternoon, KC.
Hi.
We're thrilled that you could be with us this afternoon to talk about hunger, which is a really serious problem these days.
Yes, it is. But again, it's one of the world's most solvable problems. And you're right, hunger is maybe worse. It's as bad an issue as malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, and maybe worse with all of those combined. So it's really good to be here to be able to talk about something that's a little different from entertainment, which is usually what I do.
Okay, people are probably wondering, why would a celebrity like you want to be associated with hunger? How did you become WFP's ambassador?
Well, that's not hard to answer because hunger, it's about food, it's about keeping your body active and well. And kahit nga tayo as normal people, right, kung nalapasan tayo ng gutom, it's really hard to focus, it's hard to keep in track of what you're doing and to do things well, whether it's work, whether it's you're a mom or a single mom, or if you're even a student or a child, it's hard to focus when you're hungry. I think the most important thing is to point out that food or fighting hunger is, for me, the most important issue. It's probably the first thing you need to really pay attention to because there's so many causes, right? There's fighting or breast cancer awareness, there's HIV awareness, there's finding the cure for HIV, there's saving rivers, saving the whales, you know? I mean, for all you know, there's just thousands of different causes that we really also need to pay attention to, but you can never clean up a river properly. You can never get yourself to school and learn about and later on become maybe a doctor, maybe an athlete. There's nothing you can do when you're hungry, and there's nothing you can do when you're chronically hungry, which is the focus of the World Food Program, is to really target acute malnutrition. So it's the number one most important issue.
As ambassador, do you get to travel? Do you get to see places where there are serious we have a hunger situations?
Yes, I get to go to Cotabato because in the Philippines, of course, I'm ambassador here in the Philippines. I'm Philippine ambassador, and we always go to conflict-affected areas in Mindanao, but we also serve communities or cities or areas that have been affected by natural disasters. So those are the top two most important factors that I think have really contributed to hunger, natural disasters and conflict. So we go all the way to Mindanao. We've been to Pampanga for the typhoon that hit there. We're all over Bohol and all over just anywhere that natural disasters hit, where emergency relief and recovery and rescue are needed. But throughout the year, we travel all the way to Mindanao also because those are the far-flung areas that a lot of NGOs are not able to reach. And WFP is so good with logistics. I'm so proud of like how they're able to really get to where they need to go, to the most affected areas. Apart from the Philippines, of course, WFP is fighting hunger worldwide. So as ambassador against Hunger for World Food Program, we get to go to Africa, Nepal, and many different countries that are also...
How does our situation here compare to the situation in Africa and Nepal? These are places that you've been to.
Well, my focus is the Philippines, but it was great for me to see, and also unfortunate to find out that there are countries that are, or areas in other countries that are probably worse affected in terms of having a dying child because he's chronically malnourished, to the point of, maybe they were born malnourished and really have a really small fighting chance of really surviving, but we try our best to alleviate them from that. But yeah, sorry, I'm starting to get emotional having flashbacks of it. But
so this is something that you feel very passionately about?
Yes, but the Philippines, it's so hard to say that a dying child is worse than maybe someone who was born malnourished here in our country. Because when you're malnourished, when you're hungry, it doesn't mean, just because I haven't eaten lunch, I haven't eaten breakfast, or I haven't eaten during this time of the day or the week or the month. It's really not having the right nutrients to function well.
Yes.
And that leads to diseases, that leads to so many things that will cause death.
It's a domino effect.
It is. So I couldn't say that, it's worse because it's state of famine in this area of the world, and we're much better off because we're not at that point of famine yet.
But a lot of our kids, a lot of our children are also malnourished.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for us is really purchasing power, not being able to have access to the same food resources. And we don't know. A lot of people that I talk to are shocked to find out that there might be an issue of hunger in the Philippines. Kasi ang hihilig natin kumain, there's so much food.
And we're an agricultural country.
We're an agricultural country.
Yeah.
We have oceans and the seas surrounding our country. So why should there be a lack of resources? And that's exactly the point. There's enough food in the whole world to go around to feed the whole population of the world. So it's more about equal distribution of food, and it's all about being able to have access to that food. And yes, we do have the issue of hunger in the Philippines, believe it or not, because just because you can fill your stomachs 3 times a day, or even 2 times a day, or even once a day, and you have as much rice as you can to fill yourself up, it doesn't mean that you're not malnourished.
There's actually a related question. We're getting questions already from social media. There's one
Hi,
here.
everyone.
Yes. Do you think, and this is from @8Krisa, she asks, do you think hunger is just a consequence of overpopulation? Because a while ago you were saying that, we have oceans, we have lots of fields, and we have farmers even. So why are we hungry? Because there are not enough resources?
One thing I think is that, again, as I said before, it's really equal distribution, having access to this food, and being able to work with communities through the government and other NGOs and local governments to create sustainability. So it's not about being able to feed for 2 weeks and keeping people full for 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months. It's really a sustainable thing. And the saying, don't feed them the fish, teach them how to fish, and that's what WFP does, is to do it sustainably, to be able to teach them how to do it without us in the long term. So overpopulation might be a challenge, but I don't think that it's the main cause for hunger. I think if you're able to properly distribute and equally distribute, again, food and just resources and sources of, just you're able to do that and reach far-flung communities and reach them however way you can, then there's no reason that people would be chronically malnourished. But it's really a deep issue. You can't solve it overnight. It's so easy to talk about, but even getting to those places logistically is so hard. The boats you need, the evaluation you need to really validate those communities that need the help. And teaching them how to be sustainable about it, and being able to maybe step back a bit as an organization that focuses on fighting the hunger of this one community and seeing if they can do it for themselves. So farmers come into, the picture. But then again, a big problem we have in our country is natural disasters. So there's been issues where we've been working on, let's say, an area in Mindanao for 4 years, and then a huge conflict arises, or maybe a huge typhoon, like Yolanda in the Visayas.
We were told that you came from Leyte recently. Tacloban, was it?
Yes, I was in Dulag.
Yeah. What did you see?
Through Tacloban. We saw a lot of ruins still. We saw a lot of people striving in their homes to really rebuild, in their communities to really work together. But in terms of World Food Program, I was there for supplementary feeding. So trying to get people back in shape and trying to make up for all the lost nutrition because of no access to food. And
when you say
water.
Supplementary feeding, what exactly does that mean?
We focus on a lot of formulated products that they mix into local food. So we have, let's say, there's this packet here called micronutrient powders, which have like 15 essential vitamins and minerals. And again, World Food Program focuses on acute malnutrition. So we try to target all the cells of the body and all the micronutrient deficiencies and work with scientists to formulate these foods in lab. So I want to note that WFP is so busy.
Because there's so many disasters in this country.
There's so many things that we do to fight hunger on a really deep level that has so much more to do than just feeding. There's so much about hunger that goes so deep, that doesn't just talk about not being able to have a meal today, or not having enough meals this week. There's a thing called hidden hunger, which is partly what these formulated foods really target. Hidden hunger, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not an expert. From what I've learned, hidden hunger is micronutrient deficiencies. So it's really the small, empty parts of our body that need to really be nourished, that will make up the whole body.
I think you were talking about this earlier. Am I correct in my understanding of hidden hunger? It's like when you might be eating lots of rice, or you might be eating 3 meals a day, but this could be chichirya, for example, or chips, and all carbohydrates. But these don't make you healthy. And I think
on a regular basis,
right?
A lot of in our population, we love food, we love processed food, and when you have these things on a regular basis, and it's so sensitive for me to say, because at the end of the day, yes, I do work in entertainment, and yes, we do have endorsements, and yes, we work with food industries, but if I could just say that, there might be a basis for doctors to say that it's not healthy to be eating certain foods on a regular basis, which is what a huge part of our population does.
Okay, I have to entertain these questions. There are a lot now. There's another question here, taking off from the Leyte trip. What do you think is the best action for rehabilitation? Any ideas whatsoever?
Best action would be to do it for the long term and not just for the short term. To be able to continuously do something and really focus on its sustainability. Takes a village, or in this case, it takes the whole world to rehabilitate, for example, the hard-hit areas of Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda. I think mostly it's that, to really not stop. It doesn't get solved overnight. And when we went there, and WFP actually works with all the NGOs that I saw, and it really takes a village. It's a lot of people working together towards one goal, and getting the communities involved. It's not just doing things for them, but teaching them how to help themselves.
I think a lot of people would be saying that hunger is such an overwhelming problem.
It is,
Maybe the NGOs are best to left to do it. I can't do anything about it because I'm just one. What do you say to people who think this way?
In a way, you're right. In a way, you're wrong. In a way, you're right because, again, I was saying it takes a village.
Yeah.
You really need your team. You really need people who will help you do what you want to do or what needs to be done. You can't do things alone.
Right.
In life.
True.
That's what I learned. I mean, you really need. There will always be someone who will contribute something you cannot, or will be stronger in certain areas that you're not really good at, that you will need, to be able to do what you want to do. So in a way, it's true that, yeah, you're one person, so get your team, but it doesn't mean you don't do anything. In terms of being able to do something on your own, yeah, you can do things such as donate. Why is it important to donate? Because it funds, it's the fuel. If you're a car, it's your fuel, it's your gas, to get the engine going. So we have the engine, we have the car, but we need the fuel. And, for organizations, the fuel is really, honestly, financial.
Yes.
So that's one thing they can do. If they can't offer it with their own bank accounts, then find something to do that will be able to put something in that account to forward to whatever organization you want.
You have your own projects, we were told. Would you want to tell us
do,
a little bit about this? Maybe this is one area that people can help.
I do. I don't need to be a UN ambassador to be able to do something like this. So if I can do it, you can do it. KC's Closet Fights Child Hunger is a place where I put all of my luxury goods that I like shopping for my job as well. We work in fashion.
Right.
We work in entertainment where it's a visual industry where material things might translate to millions or billions of pesos. So a lot of the shopping we do goes out on TV, goes out to our projects. A lot of these luxury bags or maybe premium items like watches and gowns, designer gowns that my friends have made for me for certain events, go back to KC's Closet, which is an online auction for now on eBay, where they can bid for certain pieces that they'd like to buy, and 100% of the purchasing or 100% of whatever we make from KC's Closet will go directly to the World Food Program. Nothing goes into anyone else's pocket.
How much when did this start, by the way, and how much have you raised so far?
Well, so far with all of my little garage sale things, we've raised close to 1 million pesos.
Oh, already.
But we're really targeting much, much more than that. So we're trying to make quantum leaps in 2014. My little KC's Closet project is going to be taking quantum leaps. So if it means that we have to have our own website or a better way of putting more things there that they've seen me wear in movies, on TV, or events, then we're going to do that to be able to raise more funds, and that goes to school food.
But are these items affordable or are they quite expensive? Because
there's bidding. You would go on the website knowing what you're getting yourself into, but they are definitely down maybe half the price of what they were originally.
Are there, besides KC's Closet, is there any other project that you're supporting or involved
I work with my endorsement. So for example, I had a clothing line that I designed hoodies, hooded sweatshirts for. A big part of the proceeds also went to the World Food Program. So I work with a lot of companies, and I hope that I'll be able to convince some of them to be able to make nice products, maybe cosmetics, maybe something else for the benefit of.
Yeah. There have been in other countries, there have been various campaigns that have been initiated. What do you think would work here in the country? What campaigns could be replicated, either in schools or maybe by corporations, companies?
Well, for students, maybe for the youth, maybe for people who are in similar backgrounds, like where they can afford. For example, my KC's Closet Fights Child Hunger is a campaign on its own.
Yeah.
So for people that might be into fashion. It's their way of being able to lend their helping hand. Bigger things, I mean, I would say maybe school feeding or food for schools, where you use food as an incentive to get kids to school and to stay in school. So World Food Program has this way of providing hot meals on a daily basis for children, for students, primary school students, to come to school, have their hot meal, be able to focus in class, and then want to go back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. And so find ways not just to feed, but to use food as an incentive for something bigger, whether it be work incentive, or, you know, for me, it's really children, bringing them to school and letting them stay there.
Yes.
And you don't have to be a straight A student or an honor student to have something like that. I mean, my report card was very colorful in high school and maybe even university. But, you know, it's really about doing things consistently. Yeah. I've been with World Food Program, WFP, for 6 years. And I'm not planning on leaving.
Yeah.
I always tell my friends and my cousins and my sisters that you have to choose maybe up to 3 causes to support.
And hunger is one of them for you.
Well, it's the top one for me. You can't do any other. You can't support any other cause and fight for anything else that's worth fighting for if you're hungry.
Because people will always say, why hunger? Hunger isn't sexy at all. It's difficult. It's difficult to solve. You run a campaign for hunger. No one's gonna pay attention.
Yeah, I agree. You know that our campaigns are not as sexy as breast cancer awareness, where there's a month in the year where all these fashion, beauty products and clothing products are in that one shade of pink that really will tell you this is for breast cancer awareness, you're supporting it. Maybe also recall-wise, you know, when you say something like, when you say UN, right away, at least in the Philippines, people think, so UNICEF ka. So, and I'm not with UNICEF. I'm with the UN World Food Program. UNICEF is UN ICEF. Kung may vowels lang yung WFP, naging UN WOFAP, diba, or something. But wala eh. So,
Lahat
the
consonants.
recall also, it's really hard because the branding of it is so, you know, they focus so much on logistically, like getting on the field, doing the work, that our marketing is maybe not as strong as other campaigns or as other organizations, but we do the work. So rest assured that we do all the work and maybe need some help with the marketing side of things. So I think that's partly why I'm here, is to really just let the word out. And not, you know, people will say, bakit kailangan sabihin yung ginagawa ninyo? And my answer to that is, first of all, there's so much more we do that don't get publicized. So many other things we do that don't get publicized. We don't need it to be publicized. The reason why is because, as we talked about before, the reason I come out and talk about it is because I can't do it on my own.
Yes.
So help me, you know, like, it takes a village, it takes the world to help alleviate something like Typhoon
And this is
Haiyan.
also actually why Rappler is part of this project, and we're into this partnership with WFP and the SWD, because we also can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
So the partnership hopefully will move
You know,
things
you will
forward.
tell people as much as you can. You'll tell people as many things as you can about your own experience. Or I can go on and on right now talking about heartbreaking things and talking about sob stories that will probably get to you and will leave a mark. But I'm not about to do that because it's not about the sob stories, which there are a lot of when it comes to famine and hunger. But if I could, I would, if it means getting you interested in it, because it's a real issue. You know, and it's an issue that isn't a sexy issue to tackle. It's not glamorously presented either, like, oh, let's save the Pasig River. And it'll give us a beautiful, healthy river for the city to be proud of. I mean, it's hunger, and people don't really want to get into the details because it's such a big issue. But again, I guess my part right here is just to really remind people there's no cause you can fight for, or there's nothing you can really do when you're chronically hungry. There's nothing we can even do if you haven't eaten for a whole day. You feel weaker. You lose focus. What more acute?
You've been working on this campaign since 2008. Am I right?
Since 2008, yeah.
Yeah. What was the worst that you've seen, and what was probably the most inspiring?
The worst is probably Africa. In terms of, I mean, I loved going to Africa. It was so progressive in terms of World Food Program's work. So the worst and best are probably what I saw in Africa, because that's where the WFP capacity is really tested and really evident, from emergency rescue to sustainability. All of that from point A to point Z was evident in Africa. So from going to areas where they would eat leaves from trees because there's really nothing else. The next food resource is maybe 20 kilometers away by foot. So, anong gagawin nila? Maglalakad sila every day, and it's the women usually that work there, and they're pregnant, and they're doing all of this work just to bring food back. And maybe when they get there, there's no food anymore. So they eat the leaves from trees and all these other things. They're born malnourished, so they're so malnourished that their skin is falling off kasi wala nang kakapitan. Plus the fact that they might be HIV positive from birth pa lang.
And this is Africa?
This is Africa. So you literally have the cases of literally, dying children in front of you. And it takes so much time to alleviate them from hunger. So you feel a bit helpless sometimes. But when you see the team coming together, and I was there for 5 days. So the first day was emergency rescue until we worked on the middle ground where they were being alleviated, but they weren't quite sustainable yet. Where they would create clay pots or better forms of cooking their food, better ways of getting access to food. And then the best part was seeing them, the farmers, seeing them be able to sustain their own, their crops, and being able to learn so much about how to do this for themselves. And then they're involved in businesses like barley for companies, food companies, or wheat. So they become the suppliers now, and they were people that actually were fed and assisted by World Food Program from the bottom.
So this is the village that you were talking about, that you can create some change if people are working together.
And if I might note, because I'm so proud, and I think it's great trivia to know, is that it's so effective. Fighting hunger sustainably is so important, because there have been athletes. Paul Tergat is this Kenyan marathon runner. He's an athlete that really, I don't know if he won the Olympics. He won the Olympics, gold medalist. I think, or silver medalist. But he was an Olympian that, really was able to train so much so to reach that level. And he was assisted and served and grew up with World Food Program food and assistance. So imagine all the kids now, whether in the Philippines, our country, or in another country, that are part of maybe statistics that you just don't pay attention to anymore. One of them, two of them, all five of them, the whole community might be a breeding ground for Olympians and great athletes, great scientists, great individuals, that
a lot of people are probably watching you now, and maybe if you have any last few words for them. Things are being done in different parts of the world, and I think here in the country there are also a few initiatives. Maybe if you would have a message for especially the youth.
Yep, you guys, there has to be, whatever cost, even if it's not hunger, although I hope you choose hunger, because it's really the number one most important issue that we need to tackle in the world today. If you choose a cause, make sure you feel strongly about it. Find something that will really make you want to help it, not just for tonight, but in the rest of your lives. Choose one or maximum 3 causes you feel strongly about, whether it's marine, like something to do with the oceans, which is so important for Filipinos, diba? Or whether it be environmental or sexually abused survivors or diseases, you know, find 1 up to maybe 3 causes that you will feel strongly about, and do the little things you can, get as many people involved as you can, and stick to those 3 causes.
Thank you very much. Very well said. Okay, we've been speaking with KC Concepcion, who shared her personal experience and insights about the hunger situation in the country and the campaign to end it. I'm Chai Hofelenia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.